What's up, guys? Henry from the PSI Defense Channel coming to you with another video. A good friend of mine from Facebook Less Lethal Groups, Rick Donahue, has sent me his Grimburg edition FSC, and what he wants to do, he wants to put rear ASA. So you got the ASA kit. He purchased a 13 CI First Strike tank from my recommendation. Highly recommend this tank, whether you get the 13 3000 version or the 1545. The regulators are awesome. Very easy to adjust the output pressure. We installed a high pressure shim kit in this, and I'll just read the output pressure for you guys. Been getting questions about this gauge. Custom parts on off, ASA on off. I got the one that has the dovetail slot, and I'll show you in a minute why this is so great. You need, I believe that's an 8-inch, 1/8 inch plug there. Yeah, you need one of those 1/8 inch, basically 1/8 inch plug. And most of the good gauges that you're going to find are a 1/4 inch, so you'll need a 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch adapter, which are very easy to find. As you can see, I got plenty of Teflon tape on there. All right, so Rick's tank is currently outputting 950 psi, so up from the 800 stock, but not at the crazy levels that I've been shooting at here lately. 1100, 1000. As you see, I broke a marker the last video, but 900 and 950 I think is perfect for most of these less lethal markers, because at 800 psi you can shoot 40 joules. So you see when I loosen that, see, here's the pressure. If I try to unscrew this now, it'd be very difficult, and then it'll be putting pressure on the O-ring, the main tank O-ring, and on the threads. So with this custom parts ASA, it leads off the pressure, and you can easily screw it off. So that's his tank setup. And when he got it from Grimberg, it of course came with the 5.12 inch, .686 First Strike Lapco barrel. He is upgrading that to Grimberg's new 8-inch, I believe, 8 or 9-inch. They did some, they made some changes to this. First of all, this black anodizing is just beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Love it. And they have, instead of that turn, these are the screws. Instead of that turn to insert it, you insert it straight in, and then there's set screw that holds that in. Jury's still out about how I feel about it, but regardless of how I feel, I'm sure that Grimberg wouldn't have initiated this unless it was an advantage. I do know he's going with a local machinist to make these. Always support your local industries, your local businesses. Keeps the money in your neck of the woods, man, and it's just good for community. So that's what he's doing there. We're going to upgrade this. I'm going to do all my regulator modifications to his marker. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade his springs and his regulator for durability and reliability. See what's going on inside of here. And then I'm going to do some benchmark tests by the way it came from First Strike, because, or by the way it came from Grimberg. Because these initial modifications will not increase the power at all. What they will do is increase the reliability when you're shooting at power. So I've already did some preliminary disassembly. I've been dying to get inside this thing, actually. And I absolutely love that silver receiver. Wish I had that. I'm a little envious because all mine are black. Take my O-ring off for my trigger. This is the one O-ring from the trigger that you don't want to oil or lube at all. It grips better when it's dry, and what that's doing, it's not holding air, it's holding this lever onto your trigger, so you want it to be grippy. Alright. Pulling off the regulator. Yeah, that PRV has been deleted. Because I went down here, if he had a pressure relief valve, there'd be a hollow bolt there, but it's been deleted at the by the good folks at Grimberg. All right. So here we go. Let's get into this. Okay, we'll be cleaning up a little bit of the excess lubricant he has here. Looks like a high quality lithium-based lubricant that they've got. And what I'm going to use for this build, I've got some products from Ultra Silk. They actually are sponsoring my next video. I've got Boom Juice and the Ultra Silk lubricant. And what they do, they actually have a process called the boom treatment. He let me set in a lot of my parts that have metal on metal friction spots, and sent in a barrel, and I sent in a couple of bolts, and he did the boom treatment. What that's supposed to do is reduce friction, reduce wear, and increase efficiency. Yeah, I can see that this is it's sliding good, but it's gonna benefit from, you see how when I push it in, it doesn't snap all the way back. First of all, I'm going to clean some of this grease out of here and use this lighter viscosity Ultra Silk, because after a while, CO2 rushing past this and the friction and the heat, these things, if you use heavier grease, get skunked up, and it keeps it from re-engaging. Yeah. So it's going to benefit from my modifications that I'm going to do here, and also a good cleaning and relubing. So getting right into it. Take these two screws off. I always keep my finger on here when I'm removing these because it's under spring tension. I've lost plenty of screws, and myself, my wife, and my daughter have had to go hunting for them. Usually, you know, ladies can find things a lot better than we can, so they've helped me find a lot of stuff. Better not to lose it in the first place. Take that off. Do my magic to this. I'll show you guys in a moment. Okay, first thing, this is the rotator. This is the return. And our good old trusty sear. What I'm going to do is get this a good clean out. Okay, you guys didn't need to see all that cleaning I just did, so I spared you. And I've got everything wiped down and cleaned out pretty good. Here's my trigger group. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply some of this Ultra Silk. It says shake before opening, so whenever possible, I'll try to follow instructions. And one thing that the owner Caesar recommends, that less is more. So you gotta give it to somebody in this capitalist society that we live in. Of course, I'm not knocking capitalism, but a lot of times people will, you know, use as much of my product as you can so you can come and buy some more. But he says less is more, gives you the impression that he wants you to use, not to overdo it, because his product is that good. It doesn't need to be slathered on and all messy and stuff. So something to be said for that. All right, so I'm just gonna make sure I cover these pins. anywhere, it slides. I always lube this back part here because the trigger group, the flat edges of that slide on there quite a lot. Nothing really going on there, but okay. This is the rotator. This side with the hump, this little slide here, that incurs the most friction. So just be sure that that gets a good dose over there with whatever lubricant you're using. I've heard some really good stuff about this Boom Juice and this Ultra Silk stuff. A lot of paintballers go really crazy about it. Increases efficiency when they have broken paintballs. Instead of having to squeegee it out, they're saying that they just shoot another ball through there, and if the barrels have been treated with boom treatment, the paint just slides right out instead of sticking to their barrels, which is good. And you know, for us less lethal guys, we're looking for that efficiency boost because efficiency equals power. This is my sear. Just gonna lube that up really good. Okay, and finally my return. See that hump, that ramp? Same with the rotator. That's going to get the most friction in your trigger group, so you want to make sure that's good and lubed. Flat end on the back here. All right. So onto my modifications. So I'm going to double up this spring at the return. Now I've learned when I line these up, I come down a little bit from the second one. That helps me to get those in there, because if they're butted right up against each other, that's so difficult. So the way you insert this, there's a groove that catches the spring, and that goes over both of those pins that are side by side there. Next is your rotator. Put your two ramps together. See that, how that goes together like that? Yeah, that is pretty slippery. That is pretty slippery there, Caesar. So, see if that trigger pull is any better. I've actually got these pieces treated in the boom treatment. Looking forward to that. But you put that one in the middle pin. Then this black dowel pin falls into that hole. There we go. Now, as you know, or hopefully you know, I take the loops from safety pins, take some wire snippers and snip the ends off. And this is the perfect shim, because if you put too much pressure here on your rotator, it won't rotate properly and you'll have some issues when it's trying to do its little thing like that. So this just gives a couple millimeters. I think that's the perfect size shim to shim that with. Definitely don't double it up. I tried that and does not function properly at all. I'm going to get another cone shaped spring. Small end down. All right. I'm just going to set that there so it doesn't fall. Now for the sear spring. As you guys remember, I showed you guys that you can grab this with some needle nose pliers. Let me get close to the camera. You can grab that end with some needle nose pliers. Try to get it as straight as possible. And bend it like that. All right. That does increase your sear tension and snappiness. What I've been doing since I've been modifying all my markers like this, I've been bending this one also. So you not towards the loop, you want to bend it away from the loop. So I take the needle nose and see my needle nose, grab it, and this pin is at an angle. I just want to make sure that I'm putting a straight bend in there. All right, now see, this is what looks like stock. See how the two ends are straight versus my modified spring. Oh, that's terrible. Okay. See that? Get a lot more tension that way. Then you're already sized up for what you need. I know we've been trying to, Sean Kemper and Daniel Sterling and I, we've all been trying to get some custom made modified sear springs. We're running into problems, you know, because you have to order these things, and some of them are from foreign countries and some of them mass produced, and we'll have a little issues here and there. Well, if you modify the stock one, those two bins, I've got great results with that. Absolutely great results. Okay, moving right along. Put the trigger arm spring back on here. Okay, so that put it right on top of your sear spring with that loop facing up. Then you take your trigger arm and it's going to go towards that end there. Okay, so your two holes, and you hold it like this face away from you, going to loop that in there, in that second hole, and then right over your rotator. Okay, I'm keeping my thumb right there so that doesn't pop off. Now you're going to want to put this in place, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to rub some of this Ultra Silk across this inner plate here. Okay, just a dab will do you. Oh snap. Okay, then I put it over the edge of the regulator. I look for those two holes, line those up, line the third hole up. Good. Okay, keeping your thumb on there for pressure. Gonna get your screws, back thread for so they drop in. You definitely don't want to cross thread these. You can ruin your regulator, have to buy another one, and if you can find one, it'll cost you 80 to 120 bucks. Better to take your time and not destroy the perfectly good one that you're trying to modify or repair or clean or whatever. Okay, I heard it drop in. There we go. All right, so I reassembled it. Of course, my spring modifications to the trigger group are still there. It actually feels really good. I think that boom treatment, or this Ultra Silk, has really got that trigger pull feeling kind of good. You know, not an expert on that, but it feels great. So I'm gonna put this back together. I'm gonna chrono a mag with, I'm going to use all joules. I'm going to chrono a mag with the 5.12 barrel. I've got a stock barrel. I've got my Grimberg 5-inch barrel, and I've got this new Grimberg barrel here. So I'm going to run some performance testing here with these different barrels. Use up a whole bunch of my CO2. Why not? I got a ton of it. So his trigger group has been modified. Grimberg has done their best to this thing. So they've got a Grimberg heat core O-ring, PRV delete. I don't know what the velocity is set at, but I'm not going to touch that at all just now. Yeah, that trigger feels pretty silky. It's just from Ultra Silk. Yeah, that trigger does feel real silky actually. Tell a difference. because with my modifications, usually you get a little bit more trigger resistance because that rotator spring has that shim in it. But silky. I like it. All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this put back together. This is the way Grimberg has it. The only thing I have done was modify the trigger group with my spring modifications. I'm gonna go out and chrono at different levels. All right, see you guys outside. All right, guys, out here at the firing range, aka my dirty garage. As you can see, Old Faithful, the trap, got the new sticker, Lone Wolf Paintball. That's where I got my yellow button chronograph. If you want one of these, they register up to 698 FPS. I recommend you get it soon because they're discontinuing it. X-Radar told me that they're no longer going to produce it because of lack of interest. It measures all of our paintball and less lethal ammunition exactly the same as the red button and the black button chronos do. They just measure higher. Same radar system inside of here, but it was geared towards you know, the airsoft crowd, but apparently they didn't need it. Reach out to X-Radar and let them know there's interest in the less lethal community for this thing, because this is what we need, because a lot of my markers, pretty much all of them, are shooting over 400 right now. So all right, got 3 mags, I've got 5 rounds of jewels each. I'll put a fresh CO2 with every barrel option that I try. I've got Rick Donahue's Grimburg Edition FSC. Only thing I've done was do the spring modifications to the trigger group for reliability. Lubricated it with Ultra Silk. And what I'm going to be testing is first the Lapco barrel that it came with. I've also got Grimberg's 5-inch barrel that I'm a huge fan of, love it. Gonna go ahead and test that. I'm also gonna screw on the Lapco screw-on mock suppressor. I found that I've gotten anywhere from 20 to 30 FPS, so I'm gonna put that on the Lapco 5.1 2-inch barrel. Of course, got the Big Daddy Lapco 8-inch barrel. I'm sure that's gonna yield some great results. And then I've got, to compare that to, I've got a 9-inch eBay barrel, which are great firing jewels. They get some amazing FPS. And then also, this is my boom treated eBay 9-inch barrel. So I'm gonna see what the difference is there, because they did their boom treatment process to this. That's supposed to increase efficiency. That's where paintballers saying that they get broken paint in there and they just shoot a couple rounds and they don't even have to squeegee it. It cleans all the paint off because it's supposed to be ultra slick. Can't wait to see what that's gonna do. That's gonna do something great. I'm gonna just do all my stuff. So, got my chronograph ready, got extra CO2. Let's get to it. All right, guys. First test with the Grimburg FSC. 5 jewel rounds. It's gonna be with the Lapco 5.1-inch barrel that it came with. Should get a really good click. All right. See what we got, guys. Holy smokes, that kicks like a mule. Okay, so without me adjusting anything at all, straight from Grimberg, you're getting 338. Drop to 286. $258. $236. $240. All right, that's it. Now I have noticed when the PRV is deleted like that, like this, that you do drop FPS per shot somewhat dramatically. because more of your gas is going into each shot. I do have a plan to try to rectify that in the future, but for now, we have a benchmark. Golly, that first shot was something else. Alright, what I'm going to do now, screw on the first strike mock suppressor. What's great about this Lapco barrel and this mock suppressor is that it lines up perfectly when you screw that on the first strike Lapco barrel. Looks pretty sweet. Alright, mag number 2. I expect better results. Let's see. Mm-hmm. 346. 300. 314. 246. 222, I believe that's it. Yep. As you can see, you get quite a boost from the Lapco mock suppressor. Alright, next up, Grimberg. Apparently, this is one of those markers where if the pin on the inside is too deep, then it's not going to screw on properly, and that's what I'm running into. So instead of gouging out my beloved Grimberg barrel, I'm just going to hold tight. We've already tested this one, by the way, and we've seen that we get comparable to 8-9 inch barrel FPS from just this short one. So if you want high FPS in a compact package, this is your best way to go. Next up, let's go with the new Grimberg barrel. And you do have a screw you have to put in, but goodness sake, look at this thing. Can you guys see that? I don't know if you can see the anodizing and how beautiful it is. It's got the Grimberg logo there. So like I said, slide straight in, then you got to put the set screw. They supply 2 screws, one long screw and one longer screw, because if you have any kind of compensator or anything on here, you're going to need a longer screw. Then it doesn't go all the way into the barrel, it goes into that stop right there. I'm just going to get that started. Stick that in and screw. I'll be honest, it's a little bit more tedious and a little bit more tedious than the normal install of just screwing, but I will tell you, I noticed this, that it's rock solid in there. I mean, it's not budging. And also, I mean, look at it. It looks like a mock suppressor. Pretty sick. Alright, let's see what she can do. Holy smokes. That kicks pretty hard. Just to show you, this is what I'm shooting. 370. 340. Traps away from the white flag, but don't worry. You can handle it. That's why I use Kevlar. .320, 394, 302, Here we go. Golly, guys. I mean, I've got a pistol FSC, and I'm thinking, that's the way to go right there. But I will tell you one thing that I'm feeling. If you're going to be shooting these with CO2, I wouldn't recommend deleting the pressure relief valve, because leaving the pressure relief valve on, they seem to be more air efficient, meaning you lose less power between shots. PRV delete is great for ASA, which is what I'm getting ready to do now. But for CO2, I haven't found that it was so great. Okay, so I'm going to switch out my eBay barrel to see what we get in relation to this. Alright guys, standard 9-inch eBay barrel. I don't have anything screwed in the tip. Brand new detents. I mean, this is literally the first time I've shot this. No boom treatment, no nothing. And we're going to see how it matches up to Grimberg's barrel. Now granted, this does have another inch on it. 1 inch longer than the Grimberg barrel, but let's see. Well, 408 kids. .330. 330. 278. 250. There we go. Okay guys, got the eBay barrel treated with the boom treatment. It does have, you can smell the boom treatment, so it definitely did something. Did notice that it was scratched and marred on the inside when I sent it to him in the breech from the bolt going through there, but it's no longer done like that. I guess the boom treatment has covered that up. It was pretty marred up in there. But let's see. I'll do a more in-depth review of this when I do my boom treatment video, but I'm excited to see how this performs against that non-boom treated eBay barrel. 368, very respectable number still. 326, 302, 280, 290. There we go. And just for kicks, and since I have one more CO2 left, I'm going to do the boom treated barrel with the Lapco suppressor screwed on there. I'm going to compare all the results at the end of the video. Since I'll have all my numbers, then I can do a summary. Alright guys, here we go. FSC 9-inch Lapco barrel. First strike, screw on suppressor. You see what I meant? That's upside down on the eBay barrel. On the first strike barrel, you screw that on, and it's right side up. I know it doesn't in the grand scheme of things. If you're getting more FPS, who cares what it looks like? Sometimes we care what it looks like, right? .362. 348. 348. 284. 254. And there we go. Alright guys, time to put the ASA on this bad boy. Alright guys, that was a pretty long enough video. I'm going to call this Grimburg FSC regulator modification and barrel testing part 1, and then part 2 will be the ASA, so that way you guys don't have to sit through a half-hour video. That's not what we're here on YouTube for. We're here to get in, get out, get info, get entertained. So I'm just going to share the ballistic results and my conclusions, and then I'll see you on the next video, which I will upload right after this one, of me putting the ASA together. And of course I'm going to do some shot testing.